G'day everybody, it's Dave from Wing Chun Mind Force. This is the first in a couple of videos about how to fight in Wing Chun. The first thing that we learn in Wing Chun is a theory of force. And that's what, to me, sets it apart from other arts that I've learnt. It's that whole thing I've been on about for the last couple of years, which I believe is the essence of Wing Chun, which is the way to develop a super force. The way to get in contact with your own super force, your own mind force, which is really just the animal mind, the part of you that's an animal. It's connected to that instinctive, subconscious, superconscious mind. And once you've practiced that and learnt it for a while, you realize it's a very real thing, and it empowers everything you do. So that's why I harp on about it, because it is part of having a weapon. If you have a weapon, if you think about rifles, you've got a 22, which is a small rifle bullet, or you have a 303, which is the British round that we used for almost 100 years in our armies, in the British and Australian Army, 7.62. The international round. The bigger the round, the more power, obviously. So if you're the size of a 22 bullet, you want to have the power of a 303 or of a 7.62, normally that's impossible, but Wing Chun gives you the ability to upgrade. So it's that theory of force that we use that you can apply to any other art. It doesn't have to be just used for Wing Chun, and some of my followers here have told me they're using it for karate, taekwondo, different applications. And I think this theory of force actually has come from an ancient theory of force that perhaps was before Wing Chun, maybe even before Kung Fu. So that theory of force is the driving power, and it's one of the great advantages we have. The second thing is our theory of combat, which is essentially what the forms teach us, all 6 forms, including the dummy and the weapons, is to not telegraph and to stay on the centre as much as possible, and to move everything from the centre. This is common in a lot of Kung Fu, and I believe it's real traditional karate, and the other Asian arts have this, and also I think there's quite a few Western arts that have had this understanding and probably still do. But by keeping on the centre and not telegraphing, we're taking the shortest possible route to strike the opponent and to stop the opponent, which is what we want to do. And not telegraphing is something that's been around forever. My father taught me boxing in the 60s when I was a young kid, getting in a lot of fights at school. And the first lesson of all that I remember was don't telegraph. He said that. He said, don't telegraph with your punch. Don't let them know it's coming, which means don't draw back. And, don't draw back and say, here it comes, and then fire forward. And also don't go around, go straight in. Obviously you can hook, but it's really a sort of a sophisticated straight punch in a way, or it has its place. But the most important thing is not to telegraph, and to use that Wing Chun theory of force to get maximum power over a short distance, which means you don't have to draw back. That's why people draw back, because they feel that if they draw back and they got further to throw the punch or the kick, it's going to be more powerful. Whereas it's not really necessary. If you know how to use your whole body and that relaxed state and that mind state, you can just boom, drop it in there, even from an inch away. So that's the power of Wing Chun. And when we fight, we just go for it. We don't muck around. We don't disengage. People often say to me, do you spar? Well, yes, I used to spar years ago, and I enjoyed it. Athletically, it was fun. It feels good. Feels very movie-like. But in real fighting, It's not a game. It can be extremely deadly. Even just, some drunken fight in a bar can end up with somebody smacking your head on the edge of the bar, or hitting you over the head with a stool, or stabbing you, or you never know what can happen. So fighting's always extremely serious. Never take it lightly. There's always hidden dangers. You want to get fighting over as quick as you can, and you want to get close to the person and not give them a chance to regroup. And because most people do need to draw back to strike, if you get away from them, it gives them the chance to have that run up that they want. If you're right in close, it freaks people out. They don't like fighting at that range. Which brings me to the two other major training things we have. We have the dummy, we have Chi Sao, and both these training devices teach us to stay and stick and employ our force at close range, using everything we've got, using legs and arms and fists and feet all at the same time. And if you think about the dummy, it's full of basically 2 palm strikes, two forearm strikes and a kick. And according to the masters, Master Yip and Master Chu Shong Tin, the dummy is not supposed to be just that form. You can use all those things in the form and be creative and freestyle and fight that dummy using everything that you know and everything that you've learned in your Wing Chun. So I think the dummy is the very best sparring. I think the dummy, it's just the most incredible tool. And just one other thing about the dummy is I suggest, when you get used to it, training in the dark. Because in my own experience, most fights I had as an adult were in dark places. They were in nightclubs where it was pretty much dark, some weird lights flashing, a lot of smoke, a lot of noise, a lot of psychic distraction going on. And often in a real fight, there's a lot of screaming and yelling and all sorts of stuff. And it's good to be able to fight with your eyes closed, basically. If you get used to fighting by feel, that's a great advantage. And same as, fighting on a darkened street, some mongrel attacks you or a couple of mongrels attack you. It's a good thing to be able to fight without seeing. And that's what Chi Sao does. Chi Sao teaches us to fight by feel, and it's obvious when you're practicing Chi Sao that you can do it with your eyes closed. And my Sifu Jim Fung used to do demonstrations with a blindfold on and show how it's actually pretty easy once you're used to it. Once you touch people, you just stick to them. And they don't get away, and when the opening's there, bam, you just strike through. No telegraphing, no disengaging. I see people all the time in Chi Sao disengaging from the other's arms. That's a form of telegraphing, and it's also a form of drawing back. You lift off to get around them. That's wrong. That's not how you do Chi Sao. If you got to do something, you crush through them, strike through them as if they're just been curd, but don't draw back and don't go around. Which brings me to the last thing I want to talk about today, which is, sorry, I've had COVID, I'm a bit croaky. The weapons in Wing Chun, like all martial arts, weapons seem archaic, and scoffers will think, oh, what's the use of learning, the Japanese sword or the nunchucks or the Wing Chun butterfly knives or that great big long 9-foot, 10-foot pole. What's the point of that? Well, the point is, these, like the forms do, these teach you a theory of force and a theory of combat, which you can apply to absolutely anything. So in our modern day, here in Australia, we're extremely limited when it comes to weapons and self-defense. We're not allowed to carry knives. We're not allowed to carry pistols. We're not allowed to carry rifles. This open carry idea, it's like, whoa, you can walk around with a semi-automatic rifle in public. Sort of bizarre to us, but there's always weapons. And I'm a big one for bar stools, chairs, you know, broomsticks, rocks, bricks, pot plants, a bag, anything you can get your bloody hands on. If somebody's coming at you with a weapon, especially a knife, you want something to stop you getting cut, and you want to be able to strike them at a distance. And that's where Wing Chun weapons training makes you a really good fighter. It teaches you how to use all that body force that we use empty-handed, put it into a weapon which gives you greater range, greater power, greater weight. And if you've got something with an edge on it, obviously that's even far more dangerous. Next video, I'm going to talk a little bit about weapons like pistols and rifles. I have a bit of experience with that. And just how Wing Chun applies to generally fighting. I want to talk a bit about the real world of fighting as against the fantasy world of having some kind of chivalrous engagement with a thug on the street. Like, that's not going to happen. It's extremely rare. The real world is more like the jungle. And you don't want to go fighting unless you really have to and you're prepared to kill or be killed. Unfortunately, that's the real world. So I'll leave it at that. Leave your comments below. Once again, I'm sorry I'm a bit frog in the throat. But I am recovering, and I just wanted to make a video because I haven't talked to you for a bit. Okay, see you later.